Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. There's another paid request, this time for Steven. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, topics, reviews, re-reviews, reactions, commentaries, randomness, out of blueness, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both those links are down below in the info box under the video on pretty much each video of mine. But Steven wanted me to talk about this film, Lucky Number Slevin. I'll probably put the post over there, but this is the DVD. Now, I've always enjoyed this film. I always thought this film was a little bit underrated, because when it came out, it did absolutely nothing. It's directed by Paul McGuigan. I don't know what else he's done, but the writer, Jason Smilovic, the only thing he really did after this was War Dogs. He wrote a film called War Dogs, which I also reviewed on the channel, which I didn't mind that film. And I thought this was a pretty interesting story. It's a crime, thriller, drama thriller, has a little bit of a sense of humor to it. It's a film that, I wouldn't say it's Tarantino-like, but it has a little bit of that flavor to it. And, well, this guy says it takes the best parts of Pulp Fiction, The Usual Suspects, and The Professional, and what he did is Lucky Number Slevin. I don't know about The Professional, but I guess a little bit of the other stuff, I did see a little bit of it. But this is helped by a really good cast, as you can see on the cover there. You have Bruce Willis, and this was around 2006, Bruce Willis, so literally a year later he'd be in Live Free or Die Hard, which I quite enjoyed Die Hard for. He'd also, a few years later, re-team with Morgan Freeman, who's in this film. They would re-team together on Red. You have Ben Kingsley, you got Stanley Tucci, you got Lucy Liu, who's very personable, fun, energetic, which a lot of times in movies they kind of cast her as very stone cold. Even Kill Bill Volume 1, some of the stuff in Charlie's Angels, those movies, what was that movie, Ballistic X vs. Sever. Here she has a good charm, and she's funny, and she's sweet. Like, she does a really good job in this. This shows a bit more of her. She's not just a stone cold, like, no emotion actress. This is quite the opposite. It was rather refreshing. And the star is Josh Hartnett. Now, some people don't like Josh Hartnett. I never minded him. I mean, the first time I saw him was in the movie The Faculty, which he played the outsider who does drugs. He's the guy from the wrong side of the streets, that type of kid. But he was very likable. I think that was a character I really enjoyed. In the wrong hands could be deemed unlikable, but I thought it was quite the opposite. He's actually my favorite character in The Faculty, which is a pretty decent Robert Rodriguez film that no one really talks about. It's got Elijah Wood, Robert Patrick, sort of teenagers meets body snatchers type of stuff. Then he would be in Halloween H2O, which I liked. But it has its issues. I still think someone should do the George Lucas thing, go back and fix all the masks, because there's like 5 different Michael Myers masks, because they couldn't choose one. Just go back and fix it, and choose one mask, but no one's going to take that money and time to do that. Which I guess is understandable, but plus the CGI mask would look pretty funky anyway, so I don't know if you could truly fix it, but who knows. I mean, there's people on YouTube that do pretty good work. But anyway, he would go on to do other films. I didn't mind him in Black Hawk Down. There's a film I like that seems no one else does called Hollywood Homicide with Harrison Ford and Josh Hartnett, where there's like a buddy cop film. It's from the director who did Bull Durham and White Men Can't Jump. I actually quite enjoy Hollywood Homicide. I saw it in the theater. I don't even know that it has a Blu-ray, but it has a DVD, and I thought that was a fun film. I thought it was an entertaining film. I thought Harrison Ford was having fun. I like Josh Hartnett. So I never minded the guy. Even in the bit role in Sin City, he did a good job. But he kind of disappeared because I don't know what he's done in the past honestly 10 years, he kind of fell off the map, so to speak. That's probably because, you know, a lot of these stuff he would do. I think he was in a film called The Black Dahlia. I mean, they wouldn't do well. Like, this is a starring role for him, and this did absolutely nothing. You think of this cast, you go, what the hell? But, yeah, it did absolutely jack squat. Which is too bad, because I do think it's an underrated film. I do think, if you go into it as an action film, that's not the case. The story, I like the twist. I like the twisty-turny parts of the story. Some people may find it predictable, but I still found it a satisfying watch. I thought the actors worked well together. It kept me engaged. I like Josh Hartnett's sense of humor, where he's this regular guy who gets pulled in because he visits his friend. His friend's gone. He's at his place. But these people come in thinking he's that guy. They think, oh, you're Nick. I'm not Nick. What's your name? I'm Slevin. Yeah, right. And so now he's been thrust into two mob bosses. There's the mob boss, played by Morgan Freeman. And literally across the street in the other building, there's a boss named the Rabbi, played by Ben Kingsley. Two mob bosses who worked together back in the day. But then, at this point, they're literally from one building to the other, going head to head. And now Josh Hartnett is stuck in the middle. Lucy Liu is a neighbor who accidentally catches him off guard, naked-wise. And, oh yeah, where's Nick? Oh, your friend Nick? And they have a little bit of a lovey-dovey romance, which I thought worked well. I thought they actually did a decent job together. I think they had some good chemistry with each other. Like I said, Lucy Liu, if you think she has no emotion, she's just deadpan, you have to see this film, because... And the reason I'm harping on that is, like, why don't they cast her in more roles like this? Where she's fun, she's laughing, she's a fan of Columbo, they have a little dialogue of James Bond and who their favorite James Bond is. Which that reminds me a little bit of the Tarantino-esque part of the dialogue. And a lot of the performances seem natural. Bruce Willis is doing his thing, but this time his thing worked. Very serious, because it was intense. It was before his mind started faltering, sadly. So Bruce Willis doing the Bruce Willis thing actually worked, and it didn't seem robotic or wooden. Again, more than likely, now we know, because of his mental faculties breaking down. I don't know when that started and how many years it's been going, but it's a very sad state of affairs, nonetheless. There's some pretty decent violence. I mean, early on, you have these two bookies killed. One gets shot. One gets a baseball right through the eye. And there's some nice looking shots and pieces of direction. Like, someone kills the bookie with a baseball to the eye, and we see it through the POV of the guy's glasses. So imagine this camera's the glasses, and a baseball going, and you see like a splash of blood, like it went through the glasses, as we're in the POV of the baseball hitting us in the face. There's some pieces where you find out Bruce Willis is behind, doing some behind the scenes stuff, working both sides of the bosses, and he maybe setting up Josh Hartnett's character. So yeah, Morgan Freeman explained the plan to Josh Hartnett, and the camera's panning, and then it'll go to a edit where it's the same or similar type of pan, and then it's Bruce Willis before all this telling Morgan Freeman what he needs to tell to Josh Hartnett. I mean, it kept the story going. It kept me interested to see what would happen next. Like I said, maybe you would predict the stuff. I mean, the fact I said there's a twist, you could always probably predict it, but I still thought it was a fun film to engage in. You also have people like Dana Aiello makes an appearance, which is very cool. Robert Forster at the very, very end. I wish he was in the film more, but he makes a small appearance at the very end. Rest in peace, Robert Forster. Always a fan of his. Was always a fan. Alligator, I love. He was in Jackie Brown. Walking the Edge. I forgot, was it The Banker? That's not too bad of a film, The Banker. Mainly for Robert Forster. That's where the guy who played Dracula in the Monster Squad, he's this banker that then at nighttime goes around killing people with a crossbow. And Robert Forster's a cop looking for him. And Robert Forster's a lot of fun. He's what makes that film worthwhile. And it's kind of interesting to see how this guy, Josh Hartnett, is played with this guy and the different henchmen. One of the henchmen is Michael T. Williamson, Bubba Gump in Forrest Gump. Shrimp salad, shrimp kebab, shrimp and potatoes. He was also in The First Power with Lieutenant Phillips. He was been in a lot of movies. Con Air. I'm going to show you God does exist. That's, Nick Cage tells it to Michael T. Williamson. For Nick Cage with the mullet. Once you get the mullet, bullets don't care. Bullets hit you, don't matter because you got the power of the mullet. Jean-Claude Van Damme had it in Hard Target. Stallone had it in Rambo. Even Jack Burton, Pork Chop Express had it in Big Trouble in Little China. Well, you got the mullet, you got the power. But anyway, no one has a mullet here, so they don't have the power. But what they do have is, like I said, a playful sense of humor. Like even Lucy Liu, like I said, is very playful and fun. Like early on when she first meets him, and then she leaves. Then she pops back in as he puts on the towel, and she's like, "Oh, I wanted to catch the next show." And she smiles. She leaves. Like that was, I liked seeing a different side to Lucy Liu because I don't mind Lucy Liu in Kill Bill Volume 1 and those Charlie's Angels movies, maybe junk food, but they're kind of fun B-movie junk food, at least the older ones. They're not films I rewatch over and over, but I got them over there, and they're fun for what they are. Again, just eye candy and beautiful women and crazy action. Or like there's a bit where one of the bosses show Josh Hartnett, this guy Slim, "Hey, Slim around?" And the knocking, like Morgan Freeman's knocked on the thing. "Hey, Slim, you don't wake up?" "Oh no, he's dead. In fact, he's frozen." And it's a dead guy in the freezer. So like Morgan Freeman, Ben Kingsley, like everybody's having fun. The actors have good interactions with each other. The plot, I thought, drew you in. And I don't want to give too much away. That's a tough thing about reviewing this. Real quick, there's a few deleted scenes and features. There is a commentary. I didn't actually watch this commentary. I forgot. Josh Hartnett, Lucy Liu, and the writer on this commentary track. Wow, I did not listen to that. I'm going to have to listen to that later. I just watched the film. But I did not know all three of them. Cool. But I definitely want to give that a watch. I should have looked at what the alternate ending was. I just wanted to watch the film. It's been a while since I've seen this, and I wasn't sure, was it going to hold up? Was it as good as I remember? But yeah, it was a fun film. I'm going to go into spoilers. I recommend seeing the film without spoilers. It's a bit more fun that way. Maybe you can still predict it, but it's a bit more fun that way. So what you come to find out, heavy spoilers, is that this guy, Josh Hartnett, he's being played with by both sides. Morgan Freeman's son has been killed. He had hired Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis said, "Get this guy because I have a deal with him as well. So we're going to use him." So Morgan Freeman says, "Either you pay me this money, even though Nick owes it. I think you're Nick, so you pay me. Otherwise, you need to kill the rabbi's son, who's named the Fairy." Why is he named the Fairy? Because he's homosexual. Just say what's in the movie. But lo and behold, bad guys are not going to talk in PC language. Hate to be bearer of bad news. You really think someone that's going to shoot you in the face cares about your feelings and your pronouns? Give me a break. While you complain about the usage of pronouns, they're putting a bullet through your eyeball. And then take the eyeball and shove it up your ass so you can see your ass being tipped by them. Literally. And then the rabbi says, hey, you owe me money. But he kind of gathers, Ben Kingsley gathers, wait, this isn't Nick. And Bruce Willis like, I know. So Bruce is playing both sides. Josh Hartnett's being used by both sides. Both by these guys. Josh Hartnett has to go shoot the guy, Ben Kingsley's son. And this is about, I forget how long in the movie. You find out Josh Hartnett and Bruce Willis are actually working together. Because you think Bruce Willis is going to kill him, but no. Instead, he gets two guns ready because the other guards are coming, shoots them. And you find out that Josh Hartnett and Bruce Willis had this plan all along. And I thought it was well written enough that the pieces fit. So I don't think it was confusing. I don't think it cheated. I don't think it was a cheap shot. I thought the way it built stuff up at the beginning, you now know why they had that scene and why that scene existed and why they had the scene that way. I thought it was pretty cleverly done by the writer. And it's sad that he's only done one more movie, which was War Dogs. Many, many years later. I think it might have been around 10 years between those two movies. At the very beginning of the film, while these two bookies are killed, there's also a guy waiting in like a station, and Bruce Willis telling this story about the Kansas City Shuffle, this bluff, and also about this thing that happened back in the day where this guy couldn't pay from this fixed horse race, and it was doped up, but in the middle the horse had a damn heart attack, so then this guy, Max, had to pay, but he couldn't pay. So he got punished, and they killed the wife, they killed the kid, they killed him. And I remember when I first saw this, I thought, okay, that's kind of like, a story you would see in a Pulp Fiction type of thing, to show how bad these bad guys are, but you find out there's more of a reason to that. The kid, back then, was Josh Hartnett. And the people that had the horse race fixed that, well, no, they had the money that was owed to them by Josh Hartnett's dad. The two people were Morgan Freeman and Ben Kingsley. So another thing is Bruce Willis was the assassin who was supposed to kill Josh Hartnett, but he saw as just a kid, bit of conscience, didn't do it, took him in. And then this has been 20 years in the making. How did you get two crime bosses who never leave their houses, never leave their places? Oh, well, you need to have someone who owes a lot of money. How do you know that? Well, these bookies have the money, and you shoot them. And you shoot them because they won't know who the real Nick is. And then Bruce Willis is a known assassin, so hitman, so he can play both sides. And Josh Hartnett, you come in, and you're, even the name Slevin is a synonym. I don't think that's the term I'm thinking of. Slevin means something else. It's not his real name. It means something else. Lucky Number Slevin is pretty much the name of that horse that died long ago. So I didn't even get a reason, even get to know why it's called that title. So I thought the writing actually fit well with its story that it was telling. I thought it was a pretty decent story. And so Josh Hartnett is able, he's the one who killed the bookie with the baseball, while Bruce Willis killed the other bookie. And then when the flashes happen, it's done in a pace that you understand, and it's not like, what the fuck? It's more like, oh, okay. Kind of like, okay, I get what you're doing. That's pretty cool. I like well, nicely done. And I'll say for the last time, you may predict it, but I still thought it was a nicely done movie. Because I understand being predictable to be a lame thing. I perfectly understand that. But at the same time, if I love the story, or I like the story, I should say. I wouldn't say I love the film, but I like it. When you rewatch it, then it's always going to be predictable because you've seen the film before. You know what I mean? I mean, hell, survival movies. Technically, I want them to be predictable, where I want the person to survive in the survival movie. So sometimes predictability doesn't bother me as much. It just depends on the film. I mean, it goes with everything. And Josh Hartnett takes the two bosses and kills them like they killed his dad. I like the way Josh Hartnett says, like, you two killed everything I love. Fuck you both. You know, like, I thought that was very matter of fact. And like I said, I think Josh Hartnett did a good job. I don't think he was bad at all. It's sad he didn't get to do a whole lot of movie roles where he was the star. But he did films like this, Hollywood Homicide. People didn't go to Halloween Show for Josh Hartnett. So that didn't matter. This film bombed. Hollywood Homicide bombed. Black Dahlia bombed. Sin City was a small part of it. People didn't go see that film for Josh Hartnett. So, Black Hawk Down, they didn't go see for Josh Hartnett. It's just he was one of the stars of this war film. Which, yeah, I don't mind that movie either. I just thought that the twist was interesting. And then also you find out with Stanley Tucci. Tucci. What the hell is Tucci? Stanley Tucci. He is a detective. And there's even a line where he says, oh yeah, this guy was my bookie like 20 years ago. 20 years ago, he needed to pay some money. He had to do a job. And that was killing Josh Hartnett's mom. And you find out that bit. And this nice brutal scene where he's behind the back of the police car and Josh Hartnett blows Tucci's brains out. While Stanley Tucci's talking on the phone, Robert Forster, who's kind of explaining bits of what's going on and the title of the movie, all that jazz. And he gets his revenge on the death of his parents. He saves Lucy Liu. I like the bit where, you know, Bruce Willis sees her, and then Josh Hartnett's like, I didn't think you understand. And Bruce was like, yeah, I understand. Because he let someone live back then, which was Josh. So Josh lets this person live because grew to like her. I have a feeling that this one of the last lines is a Bruce Willis improv. Because Josh Hartnett goes, how did you find me? And then Bruce goes, because I'm a hitman, fuckhead. Because Bruce Willis seems like he likes to use the word fuckhead. And there's not, you know, I would not be surprised if I listened to the commentary. Maybe I'm wrong, but that if that was like a little improv line. Or like a line Bruce came up with, you know, because a hitman, fuckhead. It just sounds like something Bruce would come up with. And they leave on good terms, and the movie's over, and there's no cheap shot, stupid ending, and maybe people wanted more of an action movie. Maybe people didn't like the twist. I thought the twist made the film interesting. I thought the twist made the film kind of, you know, a bit different compared to others. And I had fun. I had fun when I saw this back then. I had fun now. I think the cast is what made the film work very well, and it's a pretty decent script. And definitely one of the more underrated Bruce Willis films. Especially around this time period. This is the thing, like, compared to others, like, you go through the early from 2000 to 2010, Stallone wasn't doing the best. I mean, I love ICU. Then finally you had Rocky Balboa 2006 and Rambo in 2008. But there's like Spy Kids 3Ds and Driven and Avenging Angelo and a lot of other crap. Arnold, for the most part, after Terminator 3 was retired. And that was what, 2003? And Terminator 3 wasn't that great. Talk to the hand. But Bruce Willis, I mean, from The Whole Nine Yards, which I liked, Unbreakable, which I like this movie, Red, which is 2010, Die Hard 4 I really liked in 2007, I said Unbreakable in 2000. I'm trying to think of his other filmography. I know there's others, but I can't. A lot, for some reason, I always draw a blank when I do reviews and on the spot. But I know there were other films of that era that I actually did not mind from Bruce. Hostage. Hostage is a good one. I think that's a bit of an underrated one. So I thought Bruce had a pretty good track record in that compared to other action stars at that time. Then sadly, it was kind of after 2010 where things really went downhill for Bruce. And then, like his direct-to-video work, I can't say I like it. I'm sad that Bruce Willis is going through that. Does it excuse him if he treated people like crap on set, 12 years ago, or in the days of Striking Distance, and if he treated director crap, and there's a lot of stories way back then of him being an ass. There's no excuse for that. You shouldn't be that way. But do I still feel bad he's going through those mental difficulties? Yes, I do. But that's why, if you watch a Bruce Willis, I guess his remaining work of direct-to-video that's coming out, like he's got one or two with Kevin Dillon and some others, it's just sad. It's depressing. Especially now and like the way he's talking, and he just has earpiece repeating. This come off as sad. So, yeah. So it was nice to rewatch this film and see, this cast, story, nicely done, and, see Bruce in his prime again. I still think this was, people may say not his prime, I still think it is, because this is still when he was making pretty decent movies. I mean, again, like, Unbreakable, and Whole Nine Yards, and Lucky Number Slevin, and Hostage, and Die Hard 4. I think that's, for me, a pretty good track record. Maybe not for box office, other than Die Hard 4 and Unbreakable did okay. Die Hard 4 did well, but this and Hostage did not do well, which is a shame. But I just mean as personal enjoyment. Bruce made a lot of good movies. So, I would say if you've never seen this, again, as long as you're maybe a little bit of Guy Ritchie, Tarantino, it's more like that type of thing than a action film. And maybe that's what it is, or maybe it didn't get much of a release, or people they don't care about Josh Hartnett. But I like Josh Hartnett. I know it sounds stupid. I would say he's a better version of Freddie Prinze Jr. That might not make sense, but that's the way I put it. Actually, I never said that. I just said that I've never said that before. I'm just saying it now. But either with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.